Mark, believe it or not, it's been 7 hours.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I feel completely different.
How do you feel different?
I just feel like I have a very positive feeling. I just cannot do the drugs to cure my problems. If I do drugs to cure my problems, then it makes me, it's like I'm a master of my own destiny, I guess, you know. And basically, like, you know, as long as if I don't do coke, dope or coke or nothing, I'll be fine. And I don't want to do that ever again. I don't want to even do coke or dope again, no. No, I don't want to do that.
You're still feeling the effects?
Yeah.
How do they feel?
It's very like, it's not as heavy as it was a few hours ago. But it's getting mellow out real quick. Yeah. Maybe I changed it.
I don't want you to get up, but could you get up and walk around if you wanted to?
No, I can't. I have something on my arm, but
if you didn't have that on your arm.
I won't walk. I can't walk. If I stay still down.
Are you tired?
No, I'm just yeah, it's just no, it's fine.
Do you feel any withdrawal?
No.
Okay, we are at 10 hours. It's 7 o'clock. What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sick now. You know, I feel very at peace. I really do. I mean, I can take care of the problems. I do the right thing. You know, it's definitely shown me a very strong message of which way to go. You know, in terms of visualizing all that.
After the treatment was conducted, I have the opportunity to keep track of the evolution of this patient. Yesterday, I have the opportunity to interview 2 of them. I have noticed great change, both physical and emotional. None of them are taking any kind of drugs. This is amazing because patients on methadone are very difficult to detoxify.
Marc talked about how unhappy he had been prior to going down to this treatment, and that he really needed to get his life under control. And the way to do that was to face all of the fears that he had in his life. And from a psychoanalytic point of view, that meant that he was willing to look at his mother, to look at his early childhood, to look at how his stepfather had hurt him and discouraged him from being able to be confident in himself, and that he was able to see that all of these earlier memories and all of these earlier situations with his mother that he had not given much weight had really caused him to be very frightened about almost everything that he has to face in his life. So he was willing to work on them, and he decided that Ibogaine really showed him all of this, but that he was now going to have to struggle himself in treatment and kind of, quote, face his demons.
My problem breaks down to 3 major points: my childhood, my inability to have relationships, and my fear. And, you know, I think fear plays a very important part in drug addicts' lives, because we're so afraid. I mean, we do heroin to escape our pain, and we're so scared that, you know, like, you know, we may feel dope sick, and immediately we get afraid because we feel that. And the more we do heroin, the more removed we get. We don't even understand why we're doing it. And for me to understand, like, I began to look at my life. I began to look at my relationships, why certain things happened. You know, admitting that I cannot do it once. I can't do it once. I can't mess with it. It took me 3 years of going through drug rehab, reality house. I was in methadone programs. And I mean, just to be able to say that I cannot, and understand that is very important. And then understanding, like, admitting that my relationships were bad. Looking at why I do the things I do. Breaking down my triggers. I mean, I would, if I get very upset, I do drugs. You know, anger, I do drugs. If my emotions come up, I do drugs. Beginning to understand what fear is. I think if I could label this past end abuse experience is understanding my fear.
His energy when he came back from Panama was euphoric. He was very enthusiastic and very excited. In general, his whole affect had changed, but nothing specifically externally had changed. His relationship with his mother was still the same. The difficulty in school remained. People in school were still much younger than he was, and he still had the same insecurities. But I remember that his whole general attitude when he came back from Panama was incredibly positive. None of these issues were a major struggle for him. They didn't discourage him like they did right before he went to Panama, and all of these issues that perhaps triggered his drug use were no longer that intense.
You know, end abuse for me has given me my life back. It enabled me to look at myself, examine myself, and heal myself. And I think more people should try end abuse. I think it should be more made available because, I mean, it is such a beautiful thing to be able to release the chains that keep you in the hell called drug addiction.
We know that addiction is a disease that have a biological and psychological and a social component. And we believe we are doing with the Ibogaine an intervention in the biochemical and in the psychological levels.
So I think that Ibogaine is a perfect complement to rehabilitation. Together, I think that these patients have a better chance not to use for a longer amount of time. And then I would hope that as a therapist we would be able to use that opportunity of clean time to build up these patients' coping mechanisms, to build up their self-esteem, and to give them different kinds of behaviors that they can use instead of going back to medicating themselves.
I considered the use of Ibogaine for the rapid interruption of addictive disease will be a giant stride in the treatment of chemical-dependent patients.